What's up guys? My name is Ricky Boada. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna talk about how I had a 1969 Camaro that got stolen from me, but we just got another one. I'm gonna tell you all about this car. It's crazy sick. Let's roll.
I like losing control. I get high when I'm feeling my flow. My mind is focused and I'm ready to go.
So today we're gonna talk about this car, the 1969 Camaro that I just bought. But before that, I wanna tell you guys that I had one of these before. I bought it when I was like 14 years old, original SS, 4-speed Muncie, 12-bolt rear end, thing was crazy sick. And I rebuilt the entire thing all the way from scratch. Like the car was ugly when I bought it, but it was my dream car. I built it up. I did the whole 383 stroker. I was 17 years old ripping that thing around. I don't even know how my parents let me have that. It had like 400 horsepower, which at the time was crazy because I remember the M3, the E46 at that time had like 333 horsepower. So that was like the most amazing thing ever. And I was ripping around in that thing. And then one day, while I was away, I told my dad, I'm like, yo dad, take the car out, make sure that it's good. Whatever, he took it out, did some donuts in front. He called me, he's like, bro, the neighbor saw me doing donuts. He must think I'm crazy. I'm like, don't worry, does the car run good? He's like, yeah, the car's awesome. I'm like, sweet, I'll be there. Like in a couple days, I'm gonna take the car out and have some fun. Then he calls me and he's like, hey, Ricky. I'm like, what's up with your voice? Tell me, what's wrong? He's like, no, nothing, I'm like, what happened? He's like, they stole the car, and I couldn't believe it. So these prices on these cars, the Camaros have gone up in price just like everything else so much that I had no plans on getting another Camaro. I was like, man, am I ever gonna even, obviously I knew I was gonna be able to get one in the future, but I didn't know how soon. And then this car came about and I wanna show you guys this car and do a complete build series on the channel, take you guys throughout the entire process of this car, how we're gonna build it. And I'd like some feedback from you guys telling me, hey Ricky, we should throw a supercharger. Maybe you should do a turbo. Yo, the mini tub in the back is dope, but you should do this. Throw it on bags, which I'm probably not gonna do, but you guys can give your suggestions on how we should do this car, and I wanna build it all here with you guys. Now to start this, I will say that the power of the law of attraction is crazy. That's literally how I've gotten all my cars. The Jeep, when I went to go buy it, the guy's like, yo, never mind, I'm gonna keep it. My brother-in-law is gonna keep it. And I dreamt about that car for months. So the guy called me back and was like, hey, listen, you can have it. The Model A, same thing. I used to see that car on Instagram and be in love with it. And I was like, bro, how can I even get this car? The owner was like, no, I'm never selling this. Kept messaging the guy. I was able to get it. This specific car, this one, not one that's like it, but this exact car, I saw it at a car show maybe 2-3 years ago, and I was like, damn, that car looks sick. I love the color, I love blue. I haven't had a blue car in forever. I love the CCWs, all these things I love about this car, and I was like, damn, it'd be dope if I had that setup. Obviously, I wasn't gonna have that setup because I didn't wanna like buy the same car and put the same wheels on it. I wasn't gonna bite off the guy, you know? But I love the car. I tried to see who owned it for the past 2-3 years. I'm like, damn, you know, never came around to finding out who owned it, never saw the car ever again. Long story short, I come over here to this shop and I see the car and I'm like, oh damn, the Camaro I saw a bunch, like I saw 3 years ago. What's up with that car? He's like, oh bro, it's broken, this and that. I'm like, well, I want it. And the guy's like, all right, cool, maybe the owner will pass by. Next thing you know, I come here, the owner is here, he's freaking out because the car is broken. There's a bunch of things that are wrong with it. And I'm like, bro, listen, I don't know if you're gonna sell it, but this is my number just in case. Next thing you know, the next morning, the guy calls me, and a couple hours later, I owned this car. Now to start, this car had an LS3, forged internals, stock crank, single turbo with an on-3 turbo kit. It was cool. They did one run on the dyno, and the car made like 600 horsepower or something like that. I want to go for a little bit more power, so we pulled the motor out. This motor is actually plastic. This isn't even on, but this is just some mock-up to see what we're gonna do next. So if you guys have any suggestions on what we should do next with this car, shoot it this way. A bunch of people are throwing LT4s, LSAs. Should we do a supercharger? Is a turbo kit cooler? Single turbo, twin turbo? Which route do we go? This car had a single turbo. Has the intercooler in the front, as you were able to see. It had the stock hood, which is the one that has like, they call it the ice trays up here. Now it has the cowl hood. Those are things I'm still deciding. Do I want to have the original hood or the one with the cowl? The cowl is cool because you get some cooling out of it, but maybe you can cut out the trays on the other one and have the stock look and still get some ventilation. So those are some things that I'm still deciding. The interior, stripped completely. Though it wasn't before. When I bought the car, this was a running car, and just like 3 days later, we're completely stripped. We're gonna rewire the entire car. Why? Because the car had the original wiring. Imagine, it had vintage AC, subwoofer, full stereo, it had everything running on the old wires. Wires are like 50 something years old, glass fuses. It was like a fire waiting to happen. I'm not trying to have that happen to me. So we're gonna redo the entire wiring on the car. I am gonna leave the blue interior, blue on blue. Another thing I'm deciding is, do I want the stock seats or should I throw some buckets in here? Buckets that have a reclinable, because I want my nieces or whoever wants to ride in the back, I wanna keep the back seats. But those are things I'm deciding here. We're gonna do blue rug, blue interior, the harness. So we already have the Detroit Speed roll bar in here. This is one of the things that, it's one of those like, I want it. It's one of these things that's like, I want it and we're already here. So it's a huge snowball effect. It's one of those things of like, you're already here, might as well do that. And right now is the time to do all these things that I've been wanting to do to these cars, because the thing is, if you put it back together and you're like, ah, man, I should have done a hydro brake. Now you got to take apart the console and the rug and run everything. So that's one of the things that I think maybe I'll do. A hydraulic e-brake, slide it around a little bit. You know my style, and I like to do all those things. We're obviously gonna change this wheel. This wheel is very ugly. I need to do some tilt steering here, so we're gonna change the steering column. It already has the Detroit Speed gauges that it brought. But overall, the interior is, I kind of know what I want to do in here. Only things I'm deciding is, do I run a console or not? And what type of seats I use. Back here, we can see some of what the paint looks like. Obviously right now it's extremely dirty. It's in a shop, all these things, but it is an SS. I like this little badge here. I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna leave the original lights, so I'm not gonna do like some crazy LEDs. I want the car to look OG. I'm gonna keep it with the original lights up front, though I'm gonna switch everything to LED, but behind the scenes, like behind the original glass, so you can't tell. Over here, we have a bunch of little details that the car has, like things like this. It's got some bubbling over here, but to be honest with you, I'm gonna leave it like that because I want a driver. I want a car that I'm gonna be able to drive, rip, turn the corner sideways and not be like, oh my God, don't breathe on it. I'm not that type of guy. I like to drive my stuff. Here, again, we have some bubbling over here, and I'll get to these things in the future. I'll get to it in the future, but right now, that's not really like what I'm concentrating on. I'm concentrating on getting this car to be mechanically very, very strong, being able to drive it all the time. This is like my dream car for me. This is, imagine, the first build that I ever did. So a 69 Camaro holds a special place in my heart. I want to drive this thing. I feel like this car represents me as a person, as like what I love. You know how some people are like, die for JDM and die for all these other things. Like a 69 Camaro is me. I love it so much. So I want to drive this car practically every day, and that's why we're gonna do vintage air. We're gonna do the upgraded wipers, which we already installed. This car, we just started working on it, and we're making so much progress, moving so fast, just because I'm like, yo, I want this thing done. This is the car, man. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna show you guys the suspension a little bit under the car, the wheels. It's gonna be crazy. If there's one thing that really attracted me to the car too, is the wheels. These are CCWs. They're fat. There's some big wheels. These are 335s back here, which is crazy because some people even run 345s with this same setup. So I think if we like roll the inner fender a little bit, fit a little fatter tire here, which is, I mean, I don't know. I don't mind it how it is right now, but the wheels are something that definitely attracted me. Now, the big red Camaro, the most famous Camaro, that car is like a huge inspiration to kind of how I want to make this car too. So will this setup stay the same? I don't know. How would you guys do it? Let me know. So now we've got to the back of the car, which is cool because this is like where the magic happens. This is what separates a regular Camaro from a Pearl Touring Camaro, from a drag Camaro. This is what really separates everything. So back here, we have a 4-link suspension. This is what the car brought. This is another thing that attracted me to buy the car, is this whole setup. If we look back here, it already has the rear Willwood disc conversion. I am gonna run the hydro, like I mentioned. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna run it. I haven't bought it or I haven't done anything with it yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna run it, and I'm gonna need a bracket there somehow. So they notched the frame. We've already, this is normal, except right here we're gonna do the frame connectors. Here we have the transmission cross member. Joey, we're gonna use this or no?
At first, yeah, but now we're gonna swap up the front cross member.
Yeah, we're probably we're still trying to decide what we wanna do to this car suspension wise, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we are now, but this is super cool, man. I didn't even know that they did this with the transmission, and he was like, yo, we got a 356 and an LS on the way, and then a box gets here, this guy picks it up, and I'm like, what? So
no, and this helps. It helps a lot because it helps to center where the shifter is gonna land, where the center is gonna land, where everything.
In your words, where this is gonna live.
Yeah.
So this part is super cool. Right here, we have the front suspension, tubular A-arms, coilovers. I'm pretty sure that I want to go an extra step forward and do even more up here because it's cool and it rides good and I'm sure it looks badass, but dude, the internet is a cool place and a terrible place because then you start looking at other people's builds and you're just like, wait, I want more, I want more. And then I had a budget for this car and that budget has like, well, the budget stayed the same, but the expenses have doubled or tripled, and it's just like a huge snowball effect because it's just like, damn, look at that one's sick and it sits this way and it does this and it does that. So that's where we're at. I'm trying to see what it is we finally end up doing here. And this is just the car, man. I hope you guys enjoy the car. 1969 Camaro, full build process coming to you guys in the channel. If you see here, it has the intercooler. We are gonna keep it with an intercooler. I think, I don't know, give me your suggestions. Not this one though. If we do keep the intercooler, we're going for a lot more power. This is rated for 700, 600. You know we wanna make more than that. And yeah, man, hope you guys enjoy. You already know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, like, as always. Love you guys, peace.